and Archie and Lilibet, they haven't had any verification of who gave birth to those children.
Meghan and Harry's royal fairy tale just exploded, and what's left behind is a DNA scandal that could rip their legacy apart. The palace has stopped playing nice and started demanding cold genetic proof that Archie and Lilibet are even theirs. Years of secrecy, silence, and media control just collided with the one thing they can't rewrite: blood. So, if there's nothing to hide, why does Buckingham want the truth in writing? Meghan always claimed to rewrite the royal rulebook, but she never expected the palace to demand lab results.
And if the child is adopted or was born through a surrogate, or any of the details do not match, the child cannot be in the line of succession.
And yet here we are. The House of Windsor, built on bloodlines and legacy, now wants hard proof that the two kids paraded as Sussex heirs actually belong to the family. Because this isn't just about babies, it's about the throne. Let's rewind the moment. Meghan stepped onto the royal stage. Things stopped looking normal. Her pregnancy with Archie skipped every tradition. No hospital reveals, no medical team announcement, not even a clear timeline. What we got instead were layers of secrecy and a media lockdown. And then came the moment that changed everything.
1 month, 2 months, 3 months, hit the baby mama when I step into the door.
She's
Yeah, I'm pregnant,
supposedly 9 months pregnant in the hospital room, dancing with a big belly.
The clip, yes, this one where she did fake pregnancy dance, it went viral in seconds, and suddenly the word surrogate stopped being a whisper and started becoming a headline. And when millions saw that video, the palace saw a problem it could no longer ignore.
Because they can't find.
You see, came another blunderbirth of Lilibet. Once again, total blackout. There was no hospital name, no official attending physician, and no confirmation of where or how the delivery even took place.
I was told that there are no details of any child born with the name Lilibet Diana Mountbatten Windsor on June 4th, 2021.
No birth certificate was made publicly available, and no formal documentation was released to confirm the details of her arrival. All the public received was a carefully staged photo, released weeks later, paired with a royal name, Lilibet Diana, that invoked the Queen's legacy but arrived with none of the royal transparency. In a monarchy where even the curtain colour at the Lindo wing is recorded, this wasn't just a break from tradition, it was a deliberate erasure of it. Every royal birth before hers followed protocol down to the second. But with Lilibet, it was as if the palace was being asked to accept a child into the line of succession based on press releases and good faith. If the royal family controls everything down to a christening gown, why did they let this slide?
Parliament, who is in charge of verifying these documents before any child is included in the line of succession, have failed to do this.
For a family that once measured royal births down to the minute, the lack of detail surrounding Meghan's deliveries feels intentional. And that's what makes it worse. The palace isn't just reacting to rumours. It's responding to years of controlled messaging, perfectly timed optics, and missing facts. This isn't about what's been said, it's about what's been deliberately left unsaid, and now those blank spaces are calling the entire narrative into question. And literally, Buckingham Palace is reportedly demanding answers. Because when succession is on the line, trust isn't assumed, it's verified. They're not doing this for drama. They're doing it because the crown cannot afford uncertainty where the line of inheritance is concerned. Still think this is gossip? Then ask yourself this. Would the monarchy, an institution obsessed with order and legacy, risk igniting a global media firestorm over something it didn't believe had teeth? When the palace acts like it's real, maybe it already is. The silence didn't clear suspicion, it multiplied it. And now, that quiet storm has reached Buckingham Palace. According to insider reports, the royals are no longer relying on assumptions or appearances. They want definitive proof that Archie and Lilibet are biologically connected to the royal bloodline. This isn't a PR exercise. This is a direct response to doubts that have quietly existed since 2019. and may have even triggered internal conversations back then. Some say early DNA testing was discussed and then buried before it could spiral. But clearly, the issue never died. It was shelved. Now it's back, and this time it's being treated like a national security matter for the Crown. If the issue resurfaced after 4 years of silence, it means someone never stopped investigating. The monarchy doesn't play with appearances when bloodlines are in question. This is about protecting an institution, not policing a family. Lineage defines everything: titles, duties, succession, and public trust. And if even a shadow of doubt lingers around the legitimacy of Harry and Meghan's children, the palace has no choice but to act. This isn't just a Meghan problem anymore, it's a monarchy problem. And what makes it worse is that the couple's carefully crafted image is now crumbling under the weight of questions they refuse to answer.
Should we snap that royal girl?
So Millie's been looked after here, obviously by the animal care team, but also by the gym team.
Yes.
How's that bump treating you?
Very well. It's funny, I've actually been joking in the past few weeks. I'd seen this documentary on Netflix about feminism, and one of the things they said during pregnancy was, I feel the embryonic kicking of feminism.
Meghan has spent years curating her story, through interviews, Netflix specials, podcast episodes, and staged photo ops. But DNA doesn't care about lighting or narrative. It requires evidence, not carefully crafted appearances. And that's exactly what Buckingham is now after. Instead of addressing the questions head-on, Meghan's camp fell back on the usual playbook. Suddenly, every inquiry was labelled as racist, every critic was cruel, and every doubt was branded as harassment. But when it comes to the royal bloodline, facts don't care about feelings, and neither does the Crown. She once called childbirth empowering, yet chose to shield every aspect of both births from public scrutiny. No traceable record of delivery. Just vague anecdotes and a handful of photos released weeks later, photos that now look more like PR tools than family memories. If the birth was real, why does everything about it feel so staged? And Harry, the man who once sued tabloids over headlines, has gone completely silent while the legitimacy of his own children is under fire. Harry hasn't denied it, hasn't shown outrage, just disappeared. And that silence looks less like protection and more like a calculated move. Even their most loyal followers are starting to flinch. Because if everything was real, why does every answer feel manufactured? Why does every detail feel staged? And now the pressure isn't just coming from media or royalists. It's reportedly coming from within the family itself. William is said to be preparing to remove Archie and Lilibet's HRH titles when he becomes king, a move that wouldn't just be symbolic, but institutional. That kind of preparation doesn't happen unless the Crown believes the issue is serious. If the titles are already being reconsidered, the monarchy knows more than it's telling. The monarchy isn't spooked by rumours. It's built to survive them. But a DNA scandal that questions the bloodline. That's a threat to its foundation. And threats to the foundation are handled quietly, quickly, and without compromise. Now, this isn't about privacy, it's about protocol. Titles are not decorative. They are legal extensions of the monarchy's legacy. And if Archie and Lilibet's connection to that legacy is unverified, then the palace has every reason to start pulling those threads before they unravel on their own. So far, the palace hasn't released a single official statement. But don't mistake that for inaction. Silence is how they move when they're drawing lines behind the scenes. And when Buckingham draws lines, it does so with the full weight of tradition, law, and quiet precision. If Meghan and Harry refuse to cooperate, titles could be stripped without warning. Not with fanfare, not with press conferences. Just a quiet adjustment to royal documents. And the world will blink and realize the story has already changed. The firm doesn't need to scream when it can erase you in silence. And when that happens, no documentary or podcast episode will fix what's broken. This scandal isn't cooling down. It's accelerating. The DNA issue has opened a door the palace cannot close without an answer. And if the results don't match the story, It won't just expose a lie, it will damage the very institution that gave Meghan and Harry their global platform. This isn't about proving parenthood, it's about defending the crown from the inside. The royals aren't asking for answers because they're curious. They're asking because they already suspect what the truth is. And if that truth doesn't match the narrative, Meghan and Harry won't just lose titles, they'll lose history. And when history turns on you, there's no PR team on earth that can write your way out of it. So, buckle up. Because if this investigation goes public, it won't be the media that ends the Sussex fairy tale. It'll be the monarchy, with a signature, a sealed file, and a silence that says everything. This isn't a scandal you can ignore. This is a moment that could shift the very structure of the British monarchy. If the truth comes out, or worse, if it's confirmed behind closed doors and buried, it will send shockwaves across every royal corner of the globe. If you want to stay ahead of what's next, subscribe now. Because the next time the palace speaks, it might be to erase an entire legacy.